A Saturday night in March, sitting in the AFL members' stands, I was having flashbacks to 6 months ago, the 1997 preliminary final where St Kilda broke our hearts and our dreams of back-to-back. 6 months later, I'm wondering at half-time if history's going to repeat. Welcome to Up North. Lyle's look back this week goes back to March of 1998 when North Melbourne played St Kilda in the Ansett Cup Grand Final. Yes, in March, a Grand Final in March. Lyle's look back are about the games in your memory that other people might not remember. A player, a moment, a comeback, heartbreak, who you were with or maybe who you weren't with. Thanks for joining. Yes, Wayne Carey is the headline again, 5 goals, winner of the Michael Tuck Medal. But this episode is all the King's men, the players who hung in there, who gave us a chance, and then Carey could come in and be the icing on the top. John Blakey, Winston Abraham, Michael Martin, David King, Martin Pike, Matty Capuano from last week's reminder. Yes, this is a Wayne Carey game, but the title, All the King's Men, is for a reason. Carey wore the crown, but the blokes around him played above themselves in a game that was slipping away, but still there to be won. Younger viewers might not get this, but the pre-season cup used to matter. Certainly by the time you got to semi-finals or the grand final. Teams were playing their best players. I haven't heard it for a while, but there was a reason for a long time that Dermot Brereton was regularly introduced as a 5 daytime and 5 nighttime premiership player, because they mattered. Now, don't get me wrong, the difference between September and March is more than daylight, but these games actually counted. And in the 90s, Essendon won 3, Hawthorn won 3, North lost 2 in the early 90s and then won 2 towards the end of the decade. So to young viewers, this might sound strange, but the pre-season cup used to matter. Not September matter, not run around in training tops and nobody cares. Big crowd, primetime broadcast, and players who put it all on the line. Now, I don't have too many specific memories of this game. I do remember it being a huge crowd, mostly St Kilda, because Waverley Park was their home ground. I remember it just being a game of ebbs and flows. And of course, I remember the comeback. But watching the highlights again, St Kilda kicked out to a 3-goal lead. Then we got the next 5 goals to have a handy lead partway through the second quarter. But then St Kilda responded hard. They managed to lead by 20 points at halftime. And that's where I'm going, it's going to happen again, isn't it? And the third quarter, it was St Kilda's. They had the flow of that match. Now, I'm sure the actual game, I haven't had the 2.5 hours available to watch the whole game yet on YouTube. But if you watch either side of that 5-minute mark, Mickey Martin chases down a young Lappin. Now, he read the play, he read the curve he was running on, but he had no right to run that man down and turn the ball over. David King has a kick in. Not a bad one, but St Kilda turned it over and the ball's going back over his head. But a desperate race, lunge, fingertips just touched the ball on the goal line. There's a few other examples in this clip, and this is where it's the King's men that keep us in this game. The third quarter, we should have been blown away, and instead, we're still got a heartbeat 18 points down. And so the last quarter begins. I haven't mentioned it yet. This is a very talented St Kilda side. They beat us in the preliminary final, and at 3/4 time of the grand final, seemingly we're going to get their second ever premiership until Darren Jarman went ballistic. We've got dual Brownlow medalist Robert Harvey here, who's quite prominent. Nathan Burke, over 300 games and multiple All-Australians. Stuart Lowe, 300 games. An ageing Nicky Winmar, but still a danger. And up forward, we have two very young, promising forwards in Spider Everett and Barry Hall. So this is a quality team we're playing, not someone that's just had a fluky pre-season. We're down by 16 points, and Wayne Carey starts early on. He marks in the centre square, and I'm sure I was hoping, and he did it. He proved the commentators wrong. He bombed it from inside the centre square for a goal to get us going. His next goal, he's up on the wing. There's a contest, and he just backs his King's men. He's on the move, and we can just see Pagan's tactics at play. Move forward, 2 kicks to 1 handball. Freeborn, Clayton, Groom. They're all just, if they can't get it cleanly, move the ball forward, and then Winston Abraham gets a clean handball, finds Carey in the clear. We're back to 2 points. Unfortunately, then these heroes I talk about, Harvey and a few others, get together. Spider Everett gets clear of Mickey Martin, and they're back out in front by 7. And nowadays, I'd be worried that was the end of it. We're out of gas. But back then, different team. And a very confident Craig Scholl, another of the many who would be worthy of a reminder, is pretty much in the centre circle, and he just launches a torpedo. And it lands in the goal square, and Winnie's, well, should land in the goal square. Winnie's there getting ready, but running back with the flight of the ball, none other than Wayne Carey. The only other player I've seen it do as consistently well as the Duck is Jonathan Brown at the Lions. But anyway, Torp, Carey scores level. Pretty handy goal. The game's still ebbing and flowing, and St Kilda have their chances. And the next time Spider Everett gets clear of Mickey Martin, he's at top of the goal square, and it's like, Byron Pickett, just back, makes a contest, brings it to ground, runs off, plays on. So they're all just standing up. But North do break clear towards the end. Carey's in a contest up outside the forward 50, comes to ground. He's read the play, backing his teammate. He's running back towards goal. Shannon Grant picks up. Nice handball. And Wayne Carey runs onto it, swerve, bounce into the goal square. And we're in front. And then finally, with 2 minutes to go, because anything can happen in a 1-goal game, Wayne Carey returns the favour. Breaks clear of Wakelin, over the head, left-handed handball, hits Shannon Grant, runs in. Celebrations break out. So, couldn't have done it without the King's men. But that roller coaster of emotions gets us revenge and a bit more silverware. Reminder, the chance where we look back and say thank you to a player who never let our jersey down, wore the stripes with pride, and made us feel happy when we saw him on the team list. This grand final has heaps of options, but there can only be one a week. Now, I know the player I'm picking today, I didn't appreciate him while we had him. He came from Fremantle in exchange for Stuart Anderson. Stuart Anderson and Shannon Motlops were young joeys that I really hoped would have big careers with us, and I was probably a little bit disappointed when he left. Also, we were surrounded by stars. Shannon Grant is an early one in this video. Anthony Stevens is running around getting no recognition or mention. John Longmire going back playing in the back line. Like, North Melbourne fans were spoilt for choice. And then what I didn't realise until earlier this week, when I was researching this, is Winston Abraham's career ended at 26. And this week, I gave myself a reminder as to how good Winnie was. Is a worthy recipient of the reminder. 1998 Mark of the Year from Canberra, 1999 Premiership player with North Melbourne, Unappreciated certainly by myself. Gone, never to be forgotten though by Lyle. Was the Ansett Cup the one we wanted? No. We were so close to a perfect year in 98. We all know how that year ended. But on this night, 6 months after St Kilda broke our heart, Wayne Carey was back. All the King's men stood up. Abraham lit it up. King and Martin helped save goals. And North reminded everybody that when the game was there to be won, the King and his men were hard to beat. I'm Lyle from up north. Were you one of the 60,000 people in the crowd? Do you have any memories of Winston Abraham or any other player in this game? Thanks for listening, and until next time, up north.